I'm convinced that you have to be married in 2026 to sustain in this economy.
Let's get into it. What's up? It's your boy A to the L to the A to the N. I'm Alan.
My name is Nekol.
And welcome to the Howze of Love podcast.
Howze of Love is a relationship podcast where real talk meets real solutions. Each episode, we tackle the difficult conversations around love, dating, marriage, and everything in between.
So whether you're single, in a relationship, in a situationship, or somewhere in between, Howze of Love offers laughter, wisdom, and some everyday conversation about the topics hot off the press. Because in the end, love wins.
Okay, so let's get into today's episode. Okay.
You TikTok famous, girl.
So
you done started some stuff. You hear me?
Not TikTok famous, but I did start something clearly. So I posted on TikTok recently.
30,000 views and counting.
And comments keep rolling in. And I said that
y'all check out It's I Nekol on TikTok. Chime into the conversation.
Yeah, and I'll insert the video before we start talking about it.
I'm convinced that in 2026, you have to be married in order to be financially stable and really survive this economy. I did a post recently talking about 100K is not enough or six figures is not enough to survive. And there were so many opinions and so many people seem to think that it's a one size fits all and yes, it's more than enough. I don't know where y'all live, and I don't know if y'all are considering regional areas, regional wages, regional cost of living, but regardless of what, you need two incomes. You need to, and I'm not talking about one person working 2-3 jobs. Like, how are you supposed to mentally sustain that way?
Nah, maybe women that are used to a certain lifestyle or women needs to depend on men. I think that men know how to adjust. Most men that are of a certain age that was raised in a certain era, we know how to adjust our lifestyle based off of our living expenses. I'm not sure about what this post is when she said that 100 grand or six figures or whatever like that, speaking about that not being enough to be able to survive. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I have already broke this down a ton of times on this channel, a ton of times on the Millionaire Morning Show. I don't believe that men need two incomes. If you are a man, let me just say this right now. If you are a man that need to depend on your woman in order to survive, you should not be in a relationship. And I'm not talking about a temporary blip where you get laid off or something. If your lifestyle, you get into a relationship, you need to depend on her in order for you two to survive. No, I disagree with that 100%. As a matter of fact, I'm still old school. I'm still of the belief that if you are a person that's having children or you are a couple that is having children, that she should still be a stay-at-home mother. I think that it's absolutely cheaper for you to be a stay-at-home mother while inputting the values into your children that is supposed to be in those children and limiting the exposure to the world while at the same time being a nurturer to them. And I just think that you just need to lower your lifestyle. Most people are unwilling to lower their lifestyle, and we're financing everything. We buying phones, we're buying financing phones, we DoorDash everything, we go out to eat more than ever before. More people are traveling than ever before in history. More income is being generated ever before in history. Now, there is a factor that go into that as far as landlords increasing rent to try to do the Burr method. I recently seen somebody send me something on Bigger Pockets where the dude lost a bunch of people $15 million and stuff like that. And so they're trying to life hack. But in general, you can minimize the amount that you're spending in order to survive and live in this economy.
From the video, I said, I'm convinced that you need to be married. You need to kind of join incomes and combine incomes in 2026 because the economy is getting bad and worse by the day. And I think that marriage is a way to build wealth. I think it's beneficial, and especially in a bad economy like this one, to come together so that two people aren't struggling on their own, but they can kind of come together and put their resources together in a marriage.
And most cultures do that. Most people are aware of that. Most people that have something to pass down generation to generation know that that's the cheat code. But for some reason, modern day society, men and women alike, think that that's not feasible, not doable. They don't want to do it. They want their independence. They want their freedom. It's too much trouble, etc., etc. But you want to go out here and have 6 kids by 7 different baby daddies, and you want to go out and have sex with 50 different women, and what do you have to show for it? All you're doing is emptying out your soul, potentially pouring into somebody else, and wasting time. And we know that time doesn't wait for anybody. So what do you have to show for it if you don't want to get married, you don't want kids, you don't want to build generational wealth, you just want to talk about being rich? Then you keep falling into the same trap where you're going after this 1% of man that every woman want, or this 1% of woman that every man is going to try to throw money at just to sleep with, but they really don't want them. So then we get in this circular conversation where there are no solutions and everybody's single. And the one thing about this economy, you got to be coupled up. You have to have some structure. You have to have some budget conversations. You have to have some discipline, or else you're going to run the risk of paying $300 even before you get in the club, paying another $300 while you're in the club, going to buy that big screen TV that's for $3,000 when you could have bought the $1,000 version and get the same picture quality, going to buy a $60,000 car that's really going to cost you $80 because you financed it, going to try to mortgage a house of $500,000, paying $3,500 a month in mortgage, and you're trying to do it by yourself, and it takes that long for you to get that pink slip or that notice that your job is shutting down. So let's talk about why it's important in this economy, in this day and age, and as we move forward. Why is it the cheat code?
Yeah, I think it's important, but first, I just want to kind of break down some of the comments. Most of the comments came from Black women that said, "Oh no, I'm doing just fine. I'm doing just fine by myself." And I think a lot of Black women rather do it all by themselves. At least that's what they're saying in the comments.
Pause. Yeah. According to the latest statistics, as far as Americans go, this is all of Americans. 18% of Americans make $100,000 or more. When you break it down to what we are as Black African Americans in this society, men make up 8% of represent 8% making $100,000 or more. Would you dare to guess how many women are making $100,000 or more?
What does it say?
6%. So everybody ain't doing well. And I'm not talking about if you supplement with child support, if you was fortunate to come up and maybe you hit a lick because maybe the dude got some money. I ain't talking alimony. I'm talking just we talking straight. Yeah. Man for man, woman for woman, job for job, based on your education or not, or your skill set, or whether you have a CDL or whatever credentials you hold. We're talking about the percentage of where you fall in that category. So if only 8% of men and 6% of Black, if only 8% of Black men and 6% of Black women, then where are all these rich people at?
I agree. And also, this is one of the things that I feel like the women came for me. Most of my TikToks are positive and like I'm always bigging up women. Yes. And I was not trying to tell no woman what they should do. I was just simply making a comment and a controversial statement, really as a conversation piece.
It was a good conversation.
Conversation.
A lot of good comments in there. Yeah.
I think for one, it's good to have the balance of the man and the woman. Yes. Like we were made for each other, right? Yes. So I think that's number one.
Man is not meant to be alone, therefore I will create man a companion, and I shall name her woman. Continue.
Yeah, and so I think there's benefits in that regard, but I think where our society is dating wise, relationship wise, there's so many broken women that's just like, I can do bad by myself. So I do understand the sentiments of like, girl, no, I don't want to. They said, I don't want to live with no man. I don't want that stress. I can do fine by myself. I'm divorced. I'm actually much happier now. Oh,
but here's the thing. And my child. But here's the thing. We don't know the percentage of those women that have bitter or bad experiences for whatever reason.
Most of them probably do.
Most of them women, I'm just speaking on a man perspective. I can't speak for the women. I'm speaking on a man perspective based on what I've heard from women that I've talked to, women that I've dated, women that I've been in a relationship with, family members or whatever. Everybody has something that they can't obtain. So they're going to try, and they're going to keep pushing, and they're going to make themselves available. But it comes a certain point in time where you realize the man I want doesn't want me, so therefore I don't want any of them.
Yeah, but from what they're saying, they're good. They don't want no man. Granted, I know y'all are dating, right? Or sleeping with men.
I was just gonna say that.
You know, so and so I get it. On one hand, it's just like, okay, if I do want to sleep with somebody,
Itch
like,
scratcher.
you know, then I do that and send them on their way.
Mhm.
So I get that.
Even if he married, continue.
Even if he married, but also it's just like, one of the beautiful things about marriage to me is if you have that life partner, that person that y'all have both committed to, right? Y'all care about each other. It's almost like y'all have become family, right? Something happens to you, that person's going to be there, most likely. You know, bad marriages don't count, or bad spouses don't count. But so you get sick, you lose that good income that you're bragging about. Like, you just have somebody, like, this is some of the things that I said in the comments in response. It's like, it's not only just the financial, but it's like emotional support, because the economy is bad for all of us.
But do you realize, or do you think about why we have such great memories being in the age group that we are now? Why we have so many great memories? It's because we had more families, better nuclear families back then. In the 70s, we were married at a rate of 78%. 2026, we married at a rate of 24%. You mean to tell me that, okay, granted, I give you that, right? Maybe they suffered through the abuse. Maybe they suffered through the substance abuse or the drunkenness, or unfortunately, getting hit on, coming there. But they also fought together. They marched together. They created families together. They had 12, 14, 16 kids together. They got all these nice, beautiful families where everybody's cultivating the land and everybody's, growing their own vegetables. And, a lot of our grandparents and great-grandparents lived to be 80 and 90, right? They wouldn't focus solely on all these worldly things. They were happy to have their station wagon and they 3-bedroom house or 2-bedroom house and a lot of land for the kids and the grandkids to run around, right? So I think we've become so desensitized to what family truly means, or life being about people, the relationships you cultivate, the relationships you develop, the relationships that you're in that are meaningful, powerful, and that are positive, right? Sometimes we overlook that because we've had one negative bad experience. And that's just like anything, right? You go to a restaurant, 10 good reviews, that one negative review, you're going to study every line about that one negative review.
And some women did make comments about, like, no, I'm healing, I'm good, which is fine. You should heal.
But
you should heal.
Hold on. Where I'm going with that is, a lot of women make those comments that they're healing, but they're not in therapy. And that's a difference. Healing and being in your solitude and just reading a book and just taking a break from dating, then you staying out of dating for 5 years, and you like, oh, I'm going to put myself back out there because I'm getting lonely. When you really didn't do no work, you're going to create the same perpetual cycle.
Yeah, but my thing is, too, I'm still just trying to process why so many Black women are so... They were, not only were they saying, like, no, not me, they were kind of being mean girlish, if you will. That's how I took it. It's like, there's so...
Oh, you was definitely a pick Misha. You was definitely a pick Misha.
What does that mean?
That you needed a man that you were pro.
But that's not how it was supposed to come off.
It wasn't supposed to come off, but they turned it to that.
They turned it to that. But by themselves, I wasn't like, yes, girl, you need a man. Da, da, da. Like, I wasn't like, I was just...
You were making a blanket statement, because the reality is, the longer that they, and we know the powers that be, who they are, as long as they, government or whatever, keep us single, and that's for everybody, not just Black people. As long as we have single people in the world, we know there's 2 mortgages, there's 2 rents, there's 2 car payments, there's money to be spread out, because I'm paying my separate, my $5,000 a month in bills, you paying your $5,000 a month in the bills, versus us getting together and it's only $5,000 versus $10,000. There's money to be made. There's spending power in being single, and furthermore, the largest consumptions and the ones that have the highest buying power in America are women, especially single women, especially single Black women, because you run around and go get that $60,000 Mercedes because it looks good, and it's a 2020 and we're in 2026. But as soon as you get that maintenance bill, it's $10,000 every time you go to get something done. They like to see y'all coming, right? But if you had a man to be like, no, I know this guy that works on Mercedes, and he used to work at Mercedes. Instead of $10,000, it'll cost you $3,000, right? Yeah. So I think those are the things that we take for granted because we want to live what I call a lifestyle. We see what people are living and where they're traveling and what they're doing online, and maybe we're in a relationship, maybe we married, and we compare ourselves to those people that I deem are fake people on the internet. We don't know who's sponsoring behind the scene. They could have multiple sponsors. They could be getting stuff for free. Who knows? But a lot of people compare themselves to their lifestyles, and they're like, dang, I deserve that. I ain't never had that before. I wonder what it would feel like in order for me to get that. I wonder how I would feel if I was on a level. You know what? I don't need you. Get out. Mm-hmm. I can do bad by myself.
I can do bad by myself. And it's just like, I think there are other factors, like you mentioned, like men have naturally a different perspective than us. So like, yeah, maybe he does have insight into cars. And this is one of the comments I made too, was like, I could do bad by myself. Yes. I do well independently. I've done well independently for years, right? But it's certain things that I prefer a man to do. Like, I'll say this. There are certain things I know I don't like doing. You know this. I don't like taking my trash out.
That's a previous episode. We know you don't like taking trash out.
So just little things that a man doesn't have a problem with doing. I think it's just a balance. Like marriage brings balance. You know what I'm saying? So I know you can, girl, I know you can do it by yourself. We are strong, especially as Black women. We are strong. We are capable. But doesn't mean you have to live a hard life. Like we all are in survival mode. And all those women saying like they can do it by themselves, they got this, they got their own house, you're surviving still because it is not easy.
It's not easy.
One person, it is not easy. Correct. But yeah, outside of sharing finances and living costs, I think having the balance of the opposite sex in the household is important too.
Yeah, and I think, number one, with that being said, around the shared living costs, I think the next thing that we can go into is it creates financial stability, right? We're pooling our money together. I can use my check for the bills. You can use your check for finances. I can use my check for maintenance costs for the house or the cars. You can use your check to finance or plan out the vacations or trips, right? So we got to make sure that it's a balance. We hear a lot of times the 50-50 conversation. It's really 100 on 100, right? Because all it takes is for one notification or one announcement at your job, and you starting over. That $120,000 or $100,000 job that you once had, now you're at 70 or 80 because you just got to have something and you got to keep health benefits and all that good stuff going. So don't always think that you're always going to be down, but prepare for the moments when you're not always up as well. And I think that's what marriage teaches you. It teaches you to pool your finances together to see what investments that we can make that are going to be long-term for money that we don't touch versus the short-term purchases that we make or that we have to make that goes within our household budget. And then, I think one of the things too, and I talked about this before, if you have two working adults in the house and one person loses their job, the pressure doesn't always fall on the one person that lost their job or the one person that's still continuing the job, because that person that you trusted to be with, whether y'all decide to couple up, have a long-term arrangement, be in a relationship, be married, whatever the case may be, you know that they'll go get it and they're going to find something else. They're going to make something happen while you going through this temporary. So don't take for granted not having that extra income. Sometimes, our women, just put it out there, they may make $300,000 and the dude may only bring home 80. And, she talking to him crazy, she looking down on him or whatever the case may be. Humble yourself, because just as you got that $300,000, tomorrow it could be 30,000. Yeah. So, and even though you got the 300 and he got 80, y'all got 380 together, right? And that's how marriage is. It's a joint effort. It's not just it's mine and it's yours. It's ours together. Now, granted, there are some times where it can seem uneasy or unlevel, but a lot of other cultures, if the woman is the breadwinner, the man knows what to do in order to step in. Okay, he got to do more of the housework. He got to do more of the chores. He got to do more of the handiwork. He got to do more with the kids because your job is very demanding. You get with a partner that you complement well with.
I'm glad you just said you get with a partner. So what do you say to the people in the comments who were like, I don't need to get married. You can also do this with a best friend or a family member.
Eventually, you're going to get tired of that best friend or family member, because we know from historical facts that sometimes family, just because you're connected by blood, don't mean y'all family.
And they tend to take advantage. And they're like, oh, I'll pay you the rent later, or da-da-da.
Exactly. They think they can get over on you. And then if it's your friend, what if y'all fall out? Who got to get out?
Exactly. And does your friend really have your best interest? Or what if that friend or family member, they like, oh, I found a man.
I'm gone.
I'm gone.
Peace out.
And then
Right.
you know. So,
Then you're gonna feel some type of way,
Yeah.
and then that's gonna lead to resentment later. And then you're gonna be like, oh, I don't fool with that beat.
So pretty much that's not sustainable long term. I
Correct.
think that's a good temporary thing for, so y'all can both kind of get y'all finances together, but it's not sustainable long term like a marriage would be.
Yeah, absolutely. Next point, wealth building. So we touched a little bit on this earlier, right? Investment accounts, buying a house together, looking for properties to invest in that you can rent out or that you can flip and sell. It takes two incomes to have enough capital in order to go to the bank and obtain a loan. One person alone can't do it with his or her expense line. It just ain't gonna happen. We already have a tough time getting approved for things.
Mm-hmm.
So having to pool our money together is a benefit towards wealth building.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that wealth building, into the people who may say, well, I can do that with a friend or a business partner or something like that. It's different when you have a romantic partner who y'all are aligned on, and y'all know that the goal is to grow old together, right? Because
Yes.
it's long-term sustainability that when you're going to put these foundational things in place for investments, you're doing it with the person you plan to spend the rest of your life with, versus like a business partner or something like that, where again, it's y'all can fall out today or tomorrow, and y'all didn't make vows to commit to each other.
Exactly. Yep, that's spot on. And I think, leading on to the wealth piece, the kind of tax and legal benefits, right? If for some reason I become incapacitated and I need somebody to make medical decisions for me, do I have a person that I trust that are going to make the right decisions? If I'm coming to a situation where I have kids, she has kids, we got the kids together, do I have a partner that's with me that's going to treat my kids just as equally, even though I'm gone? There's a lot of things to be discussed. If you, from a female's perspective, what are your thoughts on decision making abilities from a legal perspective?
Yeah, I think that's important. I think that there's been so many women I know personally and have heard stories where they're just a long term girlfriend, right? And they love each other, right? They've been in a committed relationship, and in most states, you have to be legally married to be able to make those decisions, right?
Yeah.
That what do you call it when y'all just been living together, and they common law marriage, that don't apply. So this person, your significant other, gets into a bad accident or injured, and they're in the hospital, they unconscious. You gotta wait. They're kicking you out of the room. Like, you gotta wait for their family member.
Who's next of kin? Oh, his mom. Oh, you're not the mom. See you. Right. You're not the wife. See you.
And then it's just like, okay, all the time and energy I put into this relationship, into what we have, I don't have no power.
And furthermore, who wants to be the special friend on the obituary if something happened, right?
Yeah.
You've been around for the last 10 years, nothing to show for it other than you've been around for the last 10 years. You're not entitled to anything.
Yeah, and it's also important because some people say in the comments too, there are a lot of people who just have a life partner, right? They're just long-term boyfriend, girlfriend, right? But that same thing applies. It's like, you could be long-term boyfriend, girlfriend, but if you don't have legal rights to this person that you've built a life with, something happens, you can't make decisions. It's like a slap in the face.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, but this is my
boyfriend. It's like a gut punch.
But this is my boyfriend.
Right.
I've been living with him. We've been taking care of each other. Da, da, da. Ma'am,
you have no
authority.
You have no authority or decision making rights because you're a stay at home baby mama.
Yeah, and that's one of the benefits to marriage. Just like, if y'all gonna go all in, maybe y'all do have rent a house together, apartment or something like that. Y'all have kind of joined together, just not officially. Why not?
And furthermore, if I have a net worth of $1 million and my life insurance is $2 million, and something happened to me and you've been with me for 10 years, you don't get nothing. It goes into a trust with my kids if my direct beneficiary ain't available, but the direct beneficiary ain't gonna take care of the girlfriend.
Yeah, and it's not only to take care of the girlfriend and her upkeep. It's like, y'all have a home together, right? You don't get access to none of his money.
Nope.
To help take care of and continue to take care of the house and the life y'all built together.
And then you stuck on your own. You really will be doing bad by yourself.
Yeah. So there's a lot of benefits to it. I think a lot of women in the comments are broken, and I understand. Like, if you've been in a toxic relationship, I've been in a toxic relationship. You don't want to just marry anything. I get it. Like, I'm not just getting married for the hell of it, right? But there are good people out here, and if you are closed minded to the idea of getting married, you're going to be alone forever, and it's not going to age well.
Right. It's not. It's not. And you're gonna age yourself out of the market. What I've said before. Oh no, good conversation. Next topic: raising kids. Right. I think that's important. We know the statistics on kids being raised in a two-parent household, or even a single-parent household where there's an active father or active mother. Regardless, you got two authority figures there that can equally make decisions. Because guess what? That kid is half you and half him. Period. That's never going to change. Right? That's why you have an XX chromosome or you have an XY chromosome. It takes two. It takes two. It takes two to make things go right.
It takes two.
Right,
yeah.
right.
And I think, to your point, these women, the same women who are saying, I'm not getting married, you can have that, that's for you, not you're not speaking for me. Okay. But you're having sex, right?
And you raising these out of wedlock kids, and they're having behavioral issues that you can't explain for because you don't know this side of the family or what comes from that.
Also, if you are willing to give your body to somebody that you're like, I will never marry, that means that you're not vetting him properly, most likely, right? You're not vetting him properly. So once y'all do, things happen, get pregnant, have a kid, you're setting you and your child up for failure, right?
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, you think about it, having a kid is expensive nowadays. Last statistic I saw was from a baby, to the end of college, 22 or 21. To the cost of raising a kid in like a Dallas is $250,000. Who is making $250,000 a year? Right? We'd be lucky if the woman is making 125 and the man is making 125. That's 250 gross, but that still ain't.
That's 250. Not what you're taking home.
That's still not what you're taking home. So again, who is making 250? And furthermore, we talked about kind of wealth building. If you are a single person with two kids, who else is helping you with that child care? Childcare is a rent or mortgage payment nowadays.
Childcare is expensive.
So now you got childcare, and now you got a rent or mortgage payment. Who's helping you counteract those costs?
Leave it to the comment section. They're doing it. They're doing just fine.
That's because they probably still staying at home. This is what we don't know. They're probably still staying at home. They're forced to move back home. Have somebody that maybe will watch them for free, or they give them a few dollars here and there. But
pawning them off on their parents.
Pawning them off on their parents or grandparents, right? If they got young grandparents. And then, guess what? That child is not being developed, not being enriched. And when they get to kindergarten, they behind.
Yeah, and then also you're bringing them into potentially toxic situations, because if you're having a baby with a man that you don't see a future with, you don't want them to do nothing to do with, the child. How many women do we know or hear stories about? The woman is raising a child by herself.
Yeah, a lot.
The father don't want to be around. Yeah. Like, the father didn't take that woman serious in the first place, so he don't really care.
Right.
And it's just like that's setting up the child for failure, because now the child doesn't have a father in their life, and then they grow up in domino effect.
Yeah, and fellas, women alike, you're not gonna meet your potential long-term mate in the club. So stop going home with them, having them one-night stands. I'm not telling you how to live your life, but I'm telling you how to be safe with your life. At least make sure that you protect yourself, because a lot of these baby situations are coming up since COVID, have been situationship babies.
Yeah, and I think also women, to me, one of the reasons women are saying they don't want to get married is because it's hard, it's difficult, it's not easy.
But
life is not easy.
But life is not easy. You've heard me say this before off script. Choose your heart. Be single. Be married. Be broke. Be poor. Have a job. Don't have a job. Depend on government assistance or get it out the butt on your own. Be an entrepreneur or work for somebody the rest of your life. You choose your heart. And I think as we get older and we learn from our experiences and we get new experiences and we gain knowledge, you learn how to manage hard better based on, oh, you know what? I want to go after that. Here's what I got to do in order to get there. Nothing comes easy to anybody. You have to be willing to work for it. That's why it's 1% of wealth. That's why it's 1% that make it to the NBA. We talked about that too. You got all these basketball camps and AAU and these travel balls and travel programs. All these kids not going to make it.
Yeah.
They're not going to make it. So, you have to be mindful of what you can do and be realistic with where the majority of people fall in the category, and the majority of us fall in the average category, which is 70 to 80% of all Americans. Furthermore, there's another statistic when we talk, another good benefit to coupling up. 72% of Americans are living check to check. Since 2020, 84% of Americans have pulled some money out of their 401k. So they're supplementing the income,
Right.
but they're supplementing and taking away from their retirement income. So yeah, they may be doing bad by themselves, or they may be doing all right, but where's that supplementation coming from?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How many people still have outstanding loans? And we know in this administration they're coming after people with outstanding student loans. So that's more of your income that's being taken out of your check. Of course, we have guys that have situations and their checks are getting garnished. So it's so many nuances to that conversation where I was surprised to see some of the comments, because I'm like, don't you know how the people that have been successful and built wealth have done it? The Bill Gates, married.
Mm-hmm.
The Jeff Bezos, married. Jay-Z, being a billionaire, married.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Savannah James and LeBron James, billionaires, married.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of your wealth building comes from being married. Somebody has to hold down the fort. Somebody has to go out and make it happen. Sometimes when the person can't make it happen, they sick, they ill, or they ain't got it, the other person got to step up and go get it. And that's one of the things I respect about Mackenzie Bezos. When she was married to Jeff in the early years of Amazon, she was going out and making stuff happen. She was door-to-door sales, doing stuff just as well. So when she left with a pretty penny. So my whole thing is she'll be taken care of for life based on the investment that she put not only in herself, but into her relationship and her marriage, and she's reaping the fruit of the labor. So you have to be willing to sow good seed in the good soil in order to have a great harvest, and it takes two people. Yeah. It takes two to make a thing go right. It takes two to make it out of sight. It takes two. It takes two. I'm gonna break out in a song. That's just what I do. But yeah, y'all let us know down in the comments below what y'all think about this conversation. I think we should have a part two, because your TikTok is still
and we still didn't even get into the men. A lot of the men in their comments and their responses, mostly women, but there were some men comments in there as well. So maybe we do part two and kind of get into that. But it's definitely, we'll see what that TikTok gets to, and maybe we'll do a part two. But
yeah, but then in this economy, you need to be married. That's our bold statement of 6 months.
It's in your best interest.
It's in your best interest. That's our bold statement of the year thus far, and we're sticking to that. But let us know down in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are. Be sure to check out It's I Nekol on TikTok, and follow us on all platforms. Howze of Love on TikTok, Howze of Love on Instagram. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll be sure to see you later. And remember, regardless of what's going on in your life, in the end, love wins.